Me mwakwa baba Adkwart Studios. I mean, on show say unyamrechi na hwe Adkwart Studios. Asemfoforo bi apie e Burkina Faso a ehu na emu oyure mo nso. Na odwene ho a wonti ase. De amaya no demu ya da bia ye kan se abi before pa da ben na ebehunu se ye tie ho ase na ya gie man asi o ewo mu se adikanfo bebre ayiwo ho adi ewo abebimam na so hwe Ibrahim Traoré kesi a ayreho se adichie bia no the nkrofo a eben no nipa eben no ebo momodin bia se be ya branche we afri ho na ensem no emu ya yura mo pa nti meka ne twinko a 17 suitcases wo mo bie so ne bi on be bie mu bia no niema ewo mu no ehu abibifo adan kire se wada ensunenan egu abonten na ewa enchi mesra wo se oti brofo a bomodian na tie cause all kind of photocasa na yewia na commenti kakra bi de me ewo mu a me pese ye de ya disuane se ade enko a eno mo pe free Ibrahim Traoré ho de enko a enti oba ye ena oye niema emwa ne mine dia enkasa abrofin ne baya adwen ho enu na eso ye hunu se adwen papa bia ni wonti ma wo se so obuso bi adwen papa bia ni on se bibi on na se bibi ensi da na ato ni aboboji e ka bobo a asem no wonhu de sibre na wonka wonhu ne kabre but adibi animu da ho no mo a nanya afe ni e kwa hwe konfo na wodifo ana malam bi so mekire ase asem ni mu da ho na ekoya akokoduru se na pomuden kwan ofaso ko hospital just ne bibia na eba na wabusa se asem we se ne ye kan na nipa miensa pe na wo ho ankomo we na ye die no na nipa we ye na wo ho ba bia ni ye ka asem no na mfidie bie ni ho no mo a ebem obi akire kasa ni nyina no 17 ayiwe mu eniema abrofi abomodin esise firi ho ene de omode be omani mu ene nkrofo a wo mo bo mo pa si enyi Ibrahim Traoré firi ho abibifo adai ana wudie ni abro ewo mutirimu sa na yama abrofi womba besum no akwa yesa nwuma funwe no matwe omo wagina nche na de omo kan se wa bibiman de enya de ombe kosoda enti pohunu yansa kure yanko ni antu abuas so to buas na tie ne makuma yanko de yanko tie
17 suitcases, 17 million euros, 17 names. Ibrahim Traoré looked at the list he had placed on the table. All of this is money earned from our gold, he said. Everyone at the airport was watching silently. The VIP section of Ouagadougou Airport had never been this tense. It was midnight. Outside, Africa's starry sky. Inside, witnesses to an event that would change history. Normally, at this hour, the airport would be nearly empty. Just security guards on night shift, 1 or 2 cleaning staff, and perhaps a few passengers waiting for a delayed flight. But tonight was different. Ibrahim Traoré's special security team had taken control of every corner of the airport. Red Beret soldiers had taken positions at strategic points. The French diplomatic plane on the runway was surrounded by armored vehicles. The plane's engines were still running, the pilot still waiting for takeoff clearance, but that clearance would never come. The VIP lounge windows were fogged with condensation. The tension inside contrasted with the cold night air outside. Gathered around the long polished table were Burkina Faso's young leader, Ibrahim Traoré, Intelligence Chief Colonel Mamadou Kaboré, Airport Director Ousmane Diallo, Justice Minister Aminata Traoré, and of course the night's main actor, French Ambassador Jacques Dubois. Sweat dripped from Dubois' forehead down to his collar. His expensive suit was soaked with perspiration. His hands trembled slightly, and he kept changing position to hide it. "Mr. President," he began, trying to control his voice, "this must be a misunderstanding. Diplomatic immunity under international law." Traoré raised his hand, silencing him. There was not anger, but disappointment in his eyes. "Immunity, Ambassador," he said in a calm but firm voice, "is not a shield to be used for stealing our country's wealth. A diplomatic passport is not sufficient for committing theft." Kaboré opened the thick file on the table. He pulled out photographs, images from airport security cameras. 10:47 p.m., he began reading. 3 vehicles from the French embassy enter the airport. 11:15 p.m., these 17 suitcases are loaded onto the plane. 11:38 p.m., you arrive at the VIP lounge. 11:45 p.m., the plane requests takeoff clearance. "These are diplomatic cargo," Dubois protested. "Under the Vienna Convention?" "The Vienna Convention," Justice Minister Aminata interrupted, "also states that diplomatic cargo must not contain weapons, drugs, or illegal materials. What's in these suitcases, Ambassador?" Dubois fell silent. His eyes darted toward the door, perhaps looking for an escape route. But 2 soldiers stood at the door. There was no escape. "Open them," said Traoré. One word. But the weight of that word filled the entire room. 2 soldiers lifted the first suitcase onto the table. It was black, sturdy-looking. It had diplomatic seals on it. Kaboré photographed each seal. "Evidence," he said, "so no one can deny it." The suitcase lock was opened. The lid was slowly raised. When the contents became visible, Airport Director Diallo involuntarily whistled. "My God," he murmured. The suitcase was filled to the brim with money, euro banknotes arranged in neat stacks. Each stack was wrapped with bands. They bore the seals of the French Central Bank. Kaboré put on his gloves and took 1 stack. 100 euro notes, 10,000 euros in each stack. Total ... He counted quickly. Exactly 1 million euros. "But this is just the beginning," said Traoré. He opened the side compartment of the suitcase. Gold bars came out, each stamped with Burkina Faso's mark. "These are our gold. Gold from our country's mines, the product of our people's labor." Dubois' face had turned ashen. I don't know about these. Embassy personnel acting on their own." "Don't lie," said Aminata harshly. "Look, each bar has a date, all extracted within the last month, and all left with export records. But who received the payment?" The second suitcase was opened. This time, documents came out. Hundreds of pages. Kaboré checked the documents with his UV light. "These are originals," he said in amazement. "Not photocopies. Original state documents." Traoré began examining the documents. His face grew more serious with each page he read. "Mining maps," he said. "Gold reserves not yet announced to the public. Uranium deposits. Even ... He paused. "Even our newly discovered oil fields." "This information is ultra-secret," said Kaboré. "Only 5 people know. You, me, the energy minister, the chief of staff, and..." He stopped. His eyes caught on a name on the list. "And Geology Director Pascal Ouedraogo," Traoré completed. "So he's been bought." Airport Director Diallo asked curiously, "How valuable is this information?" Aminata answered, "If foreign companies learn this information in advance, they can position themselves before tenders. They can buy land. They can make agreements with local companies. They can gain billions of dollars in advantage." As the third suitcase was opened, Dubois tried to stand. "I need to use the restroom," he said. "Sit down," said Traoré. His tone hadn't changed, but the steel will within was palpable. We're just getting started. Photographs came out of the third suitcase. Hundreds of photographs. Traoré began spreading the photos on the table. Each told a different story. Minister Ouagadougou at a nightclub in Paris, he said, showing the first photo. Who's with him? French arms dealers. General Compaoré at a bank in Geneva, he continued. What's that briefcase in his hand? Money? Governor Zungrana's wife shopping in Paris. Who's paying the bill? A French mining company. The photographs seemed endless. Each had been carefully taken. Dates, times, locations were noted. A professional surveillance and blackmail operation. What were you going to do with these? Traoré asked Dubois. Blackmail? Dubois didn't answer. He couldn't, because the answer was too obvious. When the fourth suitcase was opened, Traoré stepped back. Weapons, he said. Be careful. The suitcase was full of state-of-the-art spy equipment. Listening devices of all sizes. Camera systems so small they could fit inside a button. Drones the size of birds. Signal jammers. Frequency scanners. These aren't ordinary equipment, said Traoré, examining a device. Look, it has the NSA logo. This is American intelligence equipment. How did it get to France? NATO, said Traoré. Technology sharing among allies. But the place of use is Africa's independent countries. The fifth suitcase contained identities. Dozens of fake IDs. Passports, driver's licenses, diplomatic cards. All in different names, but the photos belonged to the same people. I recognize this face, said Diallo, showing a passport. He came last month, as a human rights observer. This one was with us last week, said Aminata, showing another ID. As a journalist, he interviewed Minister Ouagadougou. Same person, said Traoré, but three different identities. Jean-Pierre Martin, François Dubois, Michel Bernard, all different professions, different countries. Traoré stood and walked to the window. Outside, he looked at the plane still waiting on the runway. How many years have you been playing this game? He asked Dubois with his back turned. Dubois continued his silence. How many years have you been sending spies to our country? How many years have you been controlling our leaders with blackmail? How many years have you been stealing our gold, our uranium, and now our oil? When the sixth suitcase was opened, the silence deepened further. Inside were Burkina Faso Army's most secret documents. Deployment plans, weapons inventory, personnel lists, weak points. This information is in the General Staff's safe, said Traoré in shock. Only 3 people can access it. 4, said Traoré. You forgot cleaning, Lady Mariam. She's been working there for 20 years. Nobody pays attention to her, but she sees everything, hears everything. Mariam? Traoré couldn't believe it. That old woman? Don't be fooled by appearances, said Traoré. The best spies are those who arouse the least suspicion. The 7th suitcase was full of money, but this time there were different currencies. Dollars, euros, pounds, even Chinese yuan. Bribery fund, said Aminata. Payment in whatever currency everyone wants. The 8th suitcase contained luxury items, expensive watches, jewelry, electronic devices. Each had small cards on them. Dear Minister Traoré, a small gift, Traoré read. For General Kafando's valued wife, graduation gift for Governor Zungrana's son. They're buying families too, said Aminata with disgust. Not just officials, but their wives, children. When the 9th suitcase was opened, Traoré dropped the papers in his hand. This is impossible. Inside were documents related to Traoré's private life. Photographs, audio recordings, even medical reports. My last checkup results, said Traoré, taking the documents. Only my doctor and I knew. Look, said Traoré, showing another document. Transcripts of your private security meetings, word for word. Traoré examined the documents. Date, last Tuesday. Time, 3 p.m. Location, secure room. Participants, me, you, Defense Minister. Subject, closure of French bases. We swept that room like crazy, said Traoré. Impossible. There can't be a listening device. Maybe there's no device, said Traoré. But there's a person. Everyone looked at each other. Only 3 people had entered the secure room. And all 3 were in this room. Unless... The Defense Minister, said Traoré slowly. He didn't come to that meeting, he was sick. No, said Traoré. He came. But only for 5 minutes. He left saying there was an urgent call. Do you remember? Traoré remembered. Yes, about the arms shipment from France. From France, Traoré repeated. What a coincidence. The 10th suitcase contained scientific reports, geological research, soil analyses, water resource maps. These are state secrets, said Aminata. Reports our universities and research centers worked years to prepare. And now French companies will use these to make us offers, said Traoré, as if they discovered them themselves. The 11th suitcase was full of propaganda materials, brochures, posters, prepared videos. A new future for Burkina Faso, Kaboré read. Leader, General Laurent Compaoré. Laurent Compaoré, said Traoré thoughtfully. We thought he died in the 2019 coup attempt. Apparently he's alive, said Kaboré, and the French have been hiding him. Look at the videos, said Aminata. Professional production, expensive equipment. Impossible to film these in Burkina Faso. Filmed in Paris, said Traoré, examining the video background. You can see the top of the Eiffel Tower there. The 12th suitcase contained chemicals, small bottles, powder packets, capsules. What are these? Asked Diallo. Kaboré took one and examined it. His face paled. Poison, all different types of poisons. Odorless, tasteless, leaves no trace. He read the labels. Simulates heart attack, mimics stroke, appears like food poisoning. Assassination kit, said Traoré. Who were you going to kill with these, Ambassador? Dubois finally spoke. I'm just a courier. I don't know what these are. You don't know, said Traoré. But you loaded 17 suitcases yourself. Security cameras show you. When the 13th suitcase was opened, a technology expert was urgently called. It was full of hard drives, USB drives, and CDs. Technology expert Abdoulaye, after a few minutes of examination, raised his head. Mr. President, these are copies of our entire digital infrastructure. What do you mean? Asked Aminata. Our government systems, our banking network, our telecommunications infrastructure. Everything is backed up here, with passwords. So? Asked Diallo. So, said Abdoulaye, whoever has these can paralyze the entire country. They can stop banks, cut communications, even disable the power grid. Cyber warfare weapons, said Traoré. Now they fight not with tanks and planes, but with computers. The 14th suitcase contained oil and gas agreements, drafts, contracts, signature pages. Look at this clause, said Aminata, showing a contract. 80% of all oil and gas found will belong to the French company. Burkina Faso will only get 20%. And here, added Kaboré, 50-year concession. They'll exploit our oil for half a century. The worst part, said Traoré, showing the signature page. Here's my fake signature, a perfect forgery. The 15th suitcase contained lists of names. Hundreds, thousands of names. Students, teachers, journalists, union members, clergy, artists. What kind of list is this? Asked Diallo. Traoré's face darkened as he examined the list. Threat list. Everyone who might oppose the new regime. Look, said Aminata, showing a page. There are codes next to names. K, to be closed. T, to be arrested. S, exile. To be killed. How many have O next to them? Asked Kaboré. Aminata counted. 47 people, including journalists, judges, opposition leaders. And me, said Traoré, showing his own name. First on the list. The 16th suitcase contained satellite photos and maps. Every corner of Burkina Faso, every strategic point was depicted in detail. These are military satellite images, said Kaboré. The resolution is so high you can read license plates. Here, said Traoré, showing a map. All our military bases are marked. Our weapons depots, fuel tanks, ammunition stores. Invasion plan, said Aminata. Everything is ready. They're just waiting for orders. Before opening the 17th and final suitcase, Traoré took a deep breath. This is the last one, he said. Let's see what surprises it has. When the suitcase was opened, there was only one file inside, thick, black covered, written in gold letters, Operation Sankara, secret. Traoré took the file. His hands trembled slightly. Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's legendary leader, had been killed in 1987, and now, 36 years later, he opened the first page. At the top was the date, October 15th, 1987, the day Sankara was killed. Operation Sankara, Traoré began reading. Objective, elimination of Thomas Sankara and installation of a pro-Western government. The room fell into silence. Everyone held their breath, listening. Participants: French Secret Service DGSE CIA Liaison Officer Blaise Compaoré and 12 Burkinabe officers. Method: armed assault during palace meeting, killing of Sankara and 12 comrades. Result: operation successful. Blaise Compaoré brought to power. French interests secured. Traoré turned the pages. There were photographs. Sankara's body, bullet holes, blood stains. And look, he said, showing the last pages. Operation Sankara, Phase 2. Date, 2023 to 2024. Target, Ibrahim Traoré. Objective, elimination of Traoré, who continues Sankara's legacy. Method, first political pressure, if unsuccessful economic embargo, as last resort physical elimination. Preparation, purchase of 17 high-level Burkinabe officials. Preparation of Laurent Compaoré as backup leader. Budget, 50 million euros. Approval received from Paris, operation active. Traoré closed the file. His face was expressionless, but there was deep sadness in his eyes. 36 years, he said. 36 years later, the same scenario, same methods, same killers. Dubois stood up. I didn't know about these. I swear. Just the suitcases. Be quiet, said Traoré. It's not time to talk anymore. He turned to Cabaret. Colonel, everyone on the 17-name list will be arrested immediately. Their homes, offices will be searched. Their assets will be seized. Yes, sir. Aminata, extraordinary parliament meeting tomorrow morning. These documents will be shown to the MPs. The people will learn everything. Understood, Mr. President. Diallo, the airport will be closed. No one can enter or leave. All flights cancelled. As you command. Finally, he turned to Dubois. You, Ambassador, I'll give you one chance. Just one chance. Dubois looked hopefully. You'll return to Paris, but not alone. I'm sending a message with you. Copies of the 17 suitcases. Every document, every photograph, every audio recording. And you'll deliver this message. Traoré walked toward the window. Outside, dawn was about to break. The African sun was beginning to appear on the horizon. Burkina Faso is no longer a colony. Our gold, our uranium, our oil are ours. You cannot buy our people with blackmail, threats, money. You killed Thomas Sankara, but you couldn't kill his ideas. He turned to Dubois. And finally, tell Laurent Compaoré and his friends. Let them come. We're ready. But this time the result will be different. What if France reacts? Asked Dubois. Economic sanctions? Military intervention? Let them come, said Traoré. It's not 1987 anymore. Africa is awakening. Mali, Guinea, Niger, we're all together, and the world is watching. At 6 a.m., Burkina Faso National Television interrupted its broadcast. Traoré appeared on screen. Behind him, 17 suitcases were lined up. Dear citizens, he began, tonight we witnessed one of the most important events in our history. 17 suitcases were seized. I will share their contents with you. For the next 2 hours, Traoré showed the contents of each suitcase one by one. Documents, photographs, money, weapons. Everything was shown live to the whole world. 17 suitcases, he said finally. 17 million euros, 17 traitors. But we are 17 million Burkinabe, and now we are awake. When the broadcast ended, there were thousands of people on the streets of Ouagadougou, with flags, banners in their hands. Long live independence! Zrenya, down with colonialism. Component placement. Sankara's children are awakening. In Paris, crisis meetings were being held. The French president was angry. This is unacceptable. We must intervene immediately. But the foreign minister was more cautious. Mr. President, the whole world is watching. The evidence is very clear. If we intervene, we'll lose all of Africa. So what will we do? Will we do nothing? Shouted the defense minister. We'll wait, said an old diplomat, and hope that other African countries don't do the same. But it was too late. Burkina Faso's courage had created a domino effect. In Mali, President Assimi Goïta called an emergency meeting. All French company contracts will be reviewed, he said, and strict inspections will begin at our airports. In Niger, thousands of young people took to the streets. We want 17 suitcases too, they shouted. Our uranium is ours. Similar movements began in Guinea, Senegal, Ivory Coast. Africa's young leaders were inspired by Traoré's courage. An emergency session was called at the United Nations. The French representative spoke, "This is a violation of diplomatic immunity. It's against international law." The Burkina Faso representative stood up. He had files in his hand. "Mr. President, what does international law say about stealing sovereign countries' resources? What does it say about controlling their leaders with blackmail? What does it say about killing Thomas Sankara?" There was silence in the hall. "Here's the evidence," said the representative, placing the files on the table. "The contents of the 17 suitcases. Let everyone see. Let everyone know." The Chinese representative took the floor. "We support Burkina Faso's sovereignty rights." The Russian representative added, "The age of colonialism has ended. Those who don't accept this will remain in history." The U.S. representative remained silent, could neither openly support France nor Burkina Faso. Strategic ambiguity. That evening, there was a public celebration in Ouagadougou. Fires were lit in the squares, drums were played, songs were sung. An old man was crying, holding Thomas Sankara's photograph. "We waited 36 years, he was saying. "Finally, justice has been served." A young woman spoke into the microphone. "My father works in the mine. He gets $2 a day. The value of the gold he extracts is $10,000. Now this will change." A group of students was chanting, "Education will be free. Healthcare will be free. Because our resources are ours." In the palace, Traoré was tired but determined. The cabinet meeting continued. "What happens tomorrow?" asked the defense minister. "France won't stand idle." "We're prepared," said Traoré. "We have a defense agreement with Mali and Niger. Russia and China promise support, and most importantly, our people are with us." "Economic sanctions?" asked the economy minister. "We have gold," said Traoré. "We have uranium. Soon we'll have oil. We'll print our own currency. We'll establish our own bank. We'll create a common market with the African Union." "What about the traitors inside?" asked the interior minister. 17 people in custody, said Caboret. "Interrogations continue. So far they've given 50 more names. The network is bigger than we thought." "We'll clean them all," said Traoré. "But they'll be judged fairly. We're not like them. We're a state of law." At midnight, when Traoré was alone, he went out to the balcony. Ouagadougou stretched beneath its lights. Celebration sounds were still coming. He took out a small photograph from his pocket. Thomas Sankara's photograph. "We did it, Commander," he whispered. "Late, but we did it." The next morning, French newspapers showed Traoré in their headlines as dictator, thief, terrorist. But no one believed anymore. Images of the 17 suitcases had gone viral on social media. The number 17 suitcases hashtag trended worldwide. Debates began in the European Parliament. Progressive MPs criticized France. "We're in the 21st century. Are you still doing colonialism?" Conservative MPs went on the defensive. "These are Africa's own internal affairs." But the truth was, Pandora's box had been opened, and it would never close again. A week later, there was a surprise development. A delegation came from France, led by an old diplomat, Pierre Faucard, grandson of Jacques Faucard. "We want to talk," he said. "We want to open a new page." Traoré accepted, but he had conditions. "The talks will be broadcast live. My people will see everything." Faucard had to accept. When the talks began, Traoré took the first word. "First, let's face the past. You had Thomas Sankara killed. Do you admit it?" Faucard spoke after a long silence. "In the past, mistakes were made." "Mistakes?" Traoré raised his voice. "Is killing a leader a mistake?" "Okay," said Faucard. "Yes, France played a role. We're sorry." This confession was broadcast live to the whole world. It was a historic moment. "Now let's look to the future," said Traoré. "Burkina Faso is a sovereign country. Our resources are ours. Do you accept this?" "Yes," said Faucard. "We accept. All mining contracts will be cancelled. New ones will be made under fair conditions. Do you accept?" "We can discuss," said Faucard. "No," said Traoré. "No discussion. Do you accept?" Faucard called Paris. After a long phone conversation, he returned. "We accept. Your military bases will be closed. Your soldiers will leave our country." "This is unacceptable," said Faucard. "Then the talks are over," said Traoré, standing up. "Wait," said Faucard. "Okay, We accept. And so, after hours of talks, a historic agreement was signed. Burkina Faso gained full independence, but the story wasn't over. A month later, Laurent Compaoré tried to cross the Burkina Faso border with 200 mercenaries. Goal, stage a coup, overthrow Traoré. But Traoré was prepared. Intelligence had reported everything in advance. An ambush was set at the border. The clash was brief. The mercenaries surrendered. Laurent Compaoré was captured. In court, Compaoré confessed everything. France gave money, gave weapons, promised support, but they lied. They left me alone. 6 months after the 17 Suitcases incident, Burkina Faso's economy showed unexpected growth. Revenues from gold exports were returning to the people for the first time. A school was built in every village. A health center was opened in every neighborhood. Job opportunities were created for unemployed youth. Agricultural projects were started. The international press was amazed. The Burkina Faso miracle, they wrote. Traoré said in a speech, "There's no miracle. We're just using our own resources ourselves. It's that simple." The 17 suitcases were moved to a museum. It was named National Independence Museum. Hundreds of visitors came every day. Schools brought students. An old teacher was explaining to students, "Here, children, in these suitcases was our country's stolen future, but our president took it back." A little girl asked, "Teacher, will the French come again?" The teacher smiled. "Even if they come, we're awake now. We won't sleep again." And indeed, Burkina Faso never slept again. The 17 suitcases weren't just money and documents. They were a symbol of awakening, resistance, victory. Years later, history books would write, "The 17 Suitcases incident was the beginning of Africa's second independence movement." The first independence was political. The second was economic. And this time, it was real. Traoré went down in history as the leader who opened the 17 suitcases. But he always said, "I just opened the suitcases." The real work was done by my people. They woke up, claimed ownership, fought. The victory is theirs. And Burkina Faso once again lived up to its name, Land of Upright People. 17 suitcases, 17 million euros, 17 traitors. But in the end, one truth: freedom. That night at the airport, it wasn't...
Now, what ye... Now, se bibi basi ya... Na, my Ghana, so no, ye nyadisunya efrim. Makase... Mekanichi nanka me wasembi ebusa se ECOWAS omo ati and woman who near Ekosu Burkina Faso. Now, Wayinti and Ama Ibrahim Traoré wadan hosopa near esi yani se na pray ne beteki off. Ena wonyano ntie ma na strafo anyone na see was a prebientu. Now, yes, I know France for a woman a case a diplomatic a yintino, and this a yahumu. And go for one more prayer. One more finance a council a prayer and papa. A bin an American say. Sir American a year a war Africa yin or more bar ye musa more passport ye musa bibia and one is on my fair plane and no my baby see and a more consular obi an kohwehwe near ma omodikum into one more prayer na ankasa yan penny for no mother ache na samre ni mra wo se mo sorry na mo money da ho. Say a sukonuma way, Obia or 1 in 30s, a middle of his 30s, yes, century we are now all Casanomuno, don't be could to a miracle, no sing a miracle. A name of Modia Guquem, a 1 year at Daho. Now, and 70 beyond more, will be a beer soa. Now, I will hope, said Bibi. I will hope. Now, Mammy Cabak on a mirror fee. Osini, and you may be a Pia Bonting. na oka ho asem na oka se na we de ana omo kai se ma mi no a okrini ehon mo no ana Ibrahim Traoré ka se omo kire se ma mi no ye old lady a wa ye adwuma on mo che no se hwe because enema bia every Burkina Faso ene Ibrahim Traoré ho akwabontin no na ehu pa yi na womo wode omo de baaye ene de omo de ko gold na won aboaboa no ene euro na womo de free Burkina Faso eko 17 suitcases no na ehu ankasa oh nyame ena me ka se we enya gudi o nyame nsapa na wo mu utie ni nyina na babia ehu se babia Ibrahim Traoré ko ne personal doctor a okon ho no eno so no omu time a wode ko ho babia okoye doctor no ana obusa se de esie no eye ono ne personal doctor no nko a se no de omo ye ne se Ibrahim bo wakura no a o se pie ena wo ma pen krofo ba ko omo bia adak adaka ne ba ko a bag ne ba ko a de wo mu nyina aye poison ko a ena Ibrahim Traoré busan se na sa poison we no omo de kokum hefo mo de be kum hefo ehu now fare ane twatro no ehọ na ba bi asem no box no ayi o de say suitcase no on bie mu a fare ba ko pe na dem na fare dem no aye strategy a omode kum Thomas Sankara ena wo mo asa draw the same strategy a omode be yi Ibrahim Traoré free ho France for mo here ma ban begu enti na wa wo yire wo akwara ketu akwaware abrewa na wo hwe wasumu and wo hwe wasumu na according to okra na yesi ma me ne kire na de da ena bontin yesi o ko Vietnam as say ena player o mutimu no wo hwe na sumu ene o mu de mfoni ni bia ba bontin a ma me ne nsa nyina no eda na funu ya mudei chese omo adro bibia womo asin kiti se Ibrahim Traoré de kwan bia so also mu yini free o the signature kra no womo ya penkrofo asan wrong yi ena ensio ne niema o nyina no senia womo amapo saade no ni nyina chese ehu cameras yanketua bi on betumi de ahwehwe niema na dia yanika gold no ani sike ewu omo bie bag ba ko no mu a ba ko so na ye yiase sike nyina o dollars wom euro wom pounds wom eno ana omo de beton crofo no utie but the America woman say Africa yanya ne mom ye nabie enti ufi say the air cost Burkina Faso na bi si Ghana hada ebi si Nigeria da se omo ba na omo di nyansa kwan abefa ya dwapade nyina akọ na yaka yensa ahye demri fam ni yakosam yemfi ewo anim na ye de yensa to yensa yemo ka kire won se ye de ye wiase e baaye no ye nimude etimo hu ye mobo na eduru baabi a na IMF ka kire yen se we ni we nti omoma ya besia na ombebe ya besia kra na eye on condition se free samre koyi no we ni we mo hwed mo mi adwuma na sa wo ye leader ewa bibimem na okoje sa ade we tum abra one kasa wo de wonasi from de wonyansa eya ye bekuyanim na mempa wo chew se wonim nyansa na me mpa chow say na me nsro se meka open crofo abon wo wiase pa ene abibiman kebima min kebia dikamfo ma bon ankasa te say Ibrahim Traoré na ebie yani ami ahunu ne bi na kwa bedi akon bai na o kan sem bi na mumu bibie wano a ha we de ntimi nya ho na esuahu be na wo na hwe asukọ no ma owo emfie say afi na okon say 36 years old say hwe niema ni akokoduru a wode ebu man na mumu bi ana mokotu wo yi a enka mo be fa koti kwan na mo agye mo famu de na omo de ko ye ni Ghana ha ani ati say container bi apie na dollars wom efa hin ewa hin fa biem politicians amu Africa mumu say na edi no kware mumu say na do man no mu wo asuoje a mo sha tutubanto say afa na mo free suru kraba munim ne ekoso wo omanum hwe ne asukọ no man ye odo ne man me say Sagana ha na Nigeria na bibi sesi ya ka mumu bi be fa kwati kwan mu na nye se gold wa daka no nye the same thing na esi Ghana ha yati ho asembie what is NDC for babontin kan ho asembie da bi mo di o man ya wurudo modi o mayawu and the buy ya mrebi ya kan motumi ababontia abaka se container 14 ni nyina no dollars ni gold wo na efri hifa na ba Ghana ehun asema ko say he se me bom pa ye bi na beka ababontia ye pu obi ti say Ibrahim Traoré wo Ghana because kesika ojiye ena osi ayabakosam aye history se obeka kire ne nkrofo se ye fa ahudi ayenya ne nkane no na ye fa ahudi a na enimu wosi wei aye fa ahudi kase na ho na ebusa die esi nye bia na asi we ye suitcase yo ye de na container it is a Ghana nke di no kware pa ya si alaji bidia anajuma na samunku a ono aka no kra Laya be pe baby di wakwa akọhye so de be ya won ka no kra no biu yanti no kwa no biu na no kwa no de ti o nya ni baba ko num na no kwa no ye Nyankopon muntumi sie no kware da awu se de American ya atwa besi Ghana sa container na ska wo na we Ibrahim Traoré we ya suitcase yo ya de na container and waje de building man yeah, the other way. Gold in a way. I feel you see gold in a fake. Now, when the Benya Daji, I call you wait. Not what did that die for? Oh, there be the Amoyan in an Benya was to you. I don't think we are seeing you sorry, and Ibrahim Traoré, a general, if you say, or can of cray or Donny mine. Enti wutu na duro nye yie osumi na fidie nyi no ye wa ha sei na on se sei asem na twa and a container na 3000 and na ewo a habo ye ko handi over ye ko kan ye no na aka 2005 afi 1300 enyan taban etu ewo habo oti ho asembiem na so obi gyina no ka say I abibifo kebi ma min kebi no ya mfa meboa yen kebi ma min kebi no se wo kwa bonten na ye wo hwɛ de ekoso wo Burkina Faso a obi abɛpere sɛ ye benya obi a ɔdɔ ɔman we Ibrahim Traoré nyame nhyira nyame mo ho ban nyame ahoɔden ne nyame nyansa ne ɔdɔ a wode yɛ nhwɛsoɔ ɛwɔ Africa ha no anya dwuma wɔ abrabɔ na enya nkrɔfo a ɔmotete sɛ wo na ɔmo wadwen pa ye bɛpagya ɔman Africa agyina hɔ do besia na wotie nsɛm sɛ ya na enye wa yerɛ ho sɛ bibini radin kan bye bye